แรง
It is a blessing to be with you today.
โลกเกี่ยวกับตัวโยงของเราก็แทนตัวโจนมาทำโมเดล
I bring greetings from Florida in the U.S.
โลกก็อันนี้ก็จะเราเต้นจุดของบุคคล
I preach at a church in Central Florida called Mariners Boulevard.
Center Florida
Mariners
Mariners
Boulevard.
Boulevard.
And I teach at a school in Florida called Florida College.
Florida College คือที่อาศัยสักคนกับอะไร
This is a school that is run by Christians.
ว่าสกูลเป็นพระคริสเตียนไม่มาเอาเด็กที่เขาโคบาเกี่ยวกับอะไร
And so I want to say that it is warmer in Florida than Delhi right now.
ทุกรายก็คิดว่าFlorida ครับลุมสวัสดีที่สั่ง
But the singing is more beautiful here.
ไอ้ให้เราสักเป็นเท่าไหร่เสียงโซนเดียว
I want to speak to you about a topic that you know well.
นักที่บ้าว่าตัวเป็นขัดเงินที่ไป
This is the topic of whether churches should give benevolence to non-Christians.
สักความเต้นพระกิงโลมีเดชตัวปันปีนาสาวนี้ยังที่ไม่ใช่
Should local churches provide benevolence for those who are not saints?
แล้วก็สักความเต้นพระพอเรามีเดชยังปันปีนาเป็นที่นี้ยัง
What do the scriptures teach?
ลายสังคมบางคนสินสกัดเอง
The question is not whether we want to help non-Christians with the treasury.
กินนมย่อมผิดโลกนาดีน่ะย่อมนาดีน่ะห้องดาวผิดน่ะล้ำที่ตัวตัวผสมที่เราเห็น
So we're going to look at the life of a man named Joseph.
คำว่าใส่นะโจเซฟตันชุนาคิดว่าเนี่ยนะจึงหลายเล่นเชียร์เห็น
And we're all very familiar with his life story.
เอามาที่หัวตั้งสินค้าอีกทีสร้างมาเอาแต่เห็น
Most of what you hear as far as his life is concerned, you will remember very well.
อีอามาที่หัวต้องไปใส่ละตั้งสินค้าที่สร้างทำยุ่งยิ่งดี
But as Brother Russ and I were talking this morning, and Brother John, we need to constantly be reminded of things that we're already aware of.
คุณอาบารัสนะคุณอาบาโจที่ตะเล็กตัวนี้นะอีที่ทราบไม่เบาไปแต่กินนักคุ้มผมทักเล่นเสียงควรกระเฮ
Because that is the way that we maintain our faithfulness to the Lord.
อาจารย์เขาพูดจะบอกเอ็นคุ้มโตนาคาที่ยืนหน้าเป็นว่าลายเกียรติสุรังดีเกียรติที่เฮ
So what I plan to do is present these lessons in line with the way this story unfolds in the Scripture.
ต้องเย็นปีด้านนี้เลยครับตัวจะเช็คตันชิ้นตุ้งโตนาที่ป้าเนี่ยนะอีกที่ตรงนั้นเดียวกับบ้านป้าเนี่ยนะกับใครกันเสีย
To begin with, we're going to talk this hour about the family that Joseph came from.
เอามาใส่นะอีกเย็นปีด้านนี้เลยครับตัวจะเช็คครับไอ้ยินควันปีเดียแบ็กกราวด์จะเป็นไอ้ยินควันปีเดียตั้งชิ้นกันเองมาใส่กันเจ
And we want to take a look at how his family impacted his life.
ไอ้ยินควันนะเอามายินควันเป็นตั้งชิ้นตัวฟ้าสุภาพยังชิ้นเองดี
He came from a family that we would probably describe as a poorly functioning family.
ไอ้ยินควันเดียวครับที่น่าตามที่เราเห็นนะยินส่งทักษะยินส่งเย็นที่กระดาษที่ปั้นของที่ปั้นให้ที่เทียร์
Now, really, the narrative that covers his life begins in chapter 37 of Genesis.
Genesis ผมส่งผมจะสักกี่นะตั้งชิ้นเป็นที่มุบันที่ยังไง
But to understand really his whole life, you need to look at the account beginning in chapter 29.
แล้วตั้งชิ้นตักที่เป็นนี่นะบงส้มนี่เรียกว่าที่ปั้นนะเยี่ยมมาสั่งหมาย
Because we see the behavior of his father and the attitude of his father impacted Joseph's life.
Aja ka apa lung sim putdan tung to na kipan ka Joseph kin ko apin ka kam tanyam ka suseka suboy kai ke suka hidang ka imuhi.
And it impacted his mother's life and it impacted his brother's lives.
Pabana anu kin ko ay kale asanggam pein watan kale bang tanyam bina sukai.
So back in chapter 29, we begin to look at this family and we find Jacob, Joseph's father, loved Rachel more than her sister Leah.
Kung som nila kuha iya jengina Joseph pa Jacobina Leah samina Rachel pe ay so hi si akimuhi.
And you remember, Jacob expected to have Rachel as his wife, but their father gave him Leah first.
Aja katan sini fiksa bangina Jacobina Rachel lagi nabi ka apan ka Leah pe ama kana azidinga iya.
And eventually Jacob was married to both sisters.
Ato kung abel aniwa ka sang una uniwa ka kiten pe si muhi.
But because Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah, that caused some jealousy between the two women.
All of us that come from America that have been a part of Brother Harold's team love all of you very much.
Nila nga no ka Harold Kima na pero sa natin ting tegen no te kung nai ma away.
We have had the opportunity to travel all over India.
Problema India umbi pai ko ni gina pai hong len ka wa.
We love all the brothers all over India.
India umbi umna te ting ka ka di ke wa.
But you brothers seem to be more knowledgeable.
Kile ona una te ka ke ke se min te ya.
In some ways, you are more committed than others.
Gen nang gen ling ka no te ka te ju de la le lu so ina kan wa.
And so in getting to know you, we have drawn encouragement from you as well.
Oi ja kan no te ke pho on nai na no te ki pan le asum na tam ka mu he.
So with all that in mind, I want to do a very simple, basic lesson.
Oi ja ting pan sa na tu ni na no te ni na pugul ma ma ka gen ling ko sa he.
I want to do this lesson because of everything that's happened over the last 3 years.
Aja ka kum thum sunga te kum teng te e pan sa na ja jin la no la ku he.
So in the last 3 years, I know that your lives have been hard and that you've had to think about a lot of different things.
Kum thum pai sai na kin ko sa tak te za na ko tam ti ka na na to ka ko ka na he.
Our lives have been hard too.
Ko la ma le wa sa ma ma.
And because of the pandemic, we've had to think about a lot of different things as well.
Zia kai che ba ma le kum pi su kha na na de zia ke na.
In Romans 1 verse 16, we read that the gospel of Jesus Christ is the power of God to salvation for everyone who believes. The gospel of Jesus, of course, is good news. It's the good news that belongs to Jesus. It's the good news that is about Jesus. It is the good news that Jesus came to the earth to share. In Luke chapter 4, Jesus is in his hometown synagogue of Nazareth. Of all the scriptures that he could have read from the prophet Isaiah,
Isaiah buat kita di dalam fikir pagi
in Isaiah chapter 4, beginning in verse 18,
Isaiah bungli chang som le giat na kanina
Jesus chose to read Isaiah 61 verses 1 and 2.
Isaiah bung som le kha chang ka le chang ni
So go ahead and read that.
Isaiah 61
Just read Luke 4. Luke 4, 18 and 19.
lúc bung giat chang som le giat le som le kwa na enne lúc bung li chang som le giat le som le kwa lúc bung li Luke chapter 4 verse 18 and 19 liam vai te kinga tan chuma yu di nga non sen zetin to wa ka to ta kuma on ama na on sol salte kinga pot na thule min to je kinga big ba nei non na thu ke de simot wa ke pot sak na din to pa lung kin kum ke din.
In the Old Testament, prophets, priests, and kings were anointed.
Tukun lui hun lai na kaya patene na zol ni te azanga kuchina kumbi te kan khau ni na om se kwe.
They were anointed with oil to set them apart for the work that God would have them to do.
Ama te kata se na se tina de na khau ni na om se kwe.
Jesus chose Isaiah 61 verses 1.
So I am going to continue that study with you, even though we have talked about it some 3 years ago. And now that I have a pen, I'm going to write some things on the board. I appreciate the translation remarks that were made to you a few moments ago. And the reason it was important to explain those words is because those are the words that the false teachers use. So what I am about to write up on the board is an outline of their error. And we will be quick about this because we have spoken about this, although 3 years ago. That's that word. Okay. So these are the 5 points of Calvinism we will discuss. Total inherited depravity. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is unconditional election. Point number 3 is limited atonement. Point 4 is irresistible grace. And point 5 is perseverance of the saints. So let me tell you briefly what the Calvinist says as they give you these 5 points of their doctrine. They say, look at what happened in the garden. And have you heard the phrase original sin?
na bul pi na sa khao mo.
Okay? In Calvinist doctrine, original sin is very important.
Ai ka ben sin sak na khawai na bul pi pe ka thopa na koi mo ma he ma ding na.
We know that there was an effect of Adam and Eve's sin. Yes?
E ke na adam le bi na aga ko yo te thi ba ma.
To the Calvinist, that effect goes beyond what Scripture tells us.
Kevin sin sak na ka koi sin sak na koi sin sak na pe ka lai sin thon ka lam pang na aga hong gen khap wo he.
When the Calvinist says that there is original sin, they mean this resulted.
Aya Kevin te na koi na bu pe ka me te na ye bo ba te ene hin lam pang ba ma bo le te lo.
They say that because of that sin, everyone who comes from Adam and Eve is totally depraved.
Bây giờ ada lah ke pan pian ke ma tu. Khiao sa ai ke le. Ada ma ke pan pian ke ma chu ila ma hi ke ba ma o ma hi ke.
Now you may remember this discussion from 3 years ago. Is man depraved? Does Scripture tell us that all men have sinned? Romans chapter 3. For all have sinned.
And especially brothers, Brother Jason, Brother Nathan, good to see you all. And we are very looking forward to share the spiritual fellowship with you.
I want to get us to unconditional election rapidly this morning. But there are at least 2 more scriptures that I need you to be aware of about this item. The first is John 8, verse 43. In John 8, verse 43, Jesus says to the Jews, "Why do you not understand my speech? Because you cannot hear my word." We could spend an entire session studying about this scripture, but I will cut our time short and give you the highlights of that discussion. Let's first understand to whom Jesus is talking here. He is right. He is saying this to the Jewish leaders who had already decided to reject him. In the same narrative, just about 1 page over, in chapter 9, we are told something very important. Chapter 9, verse 22, we are told that the Jews had agreed already that if any man should confess him to be Christ, he would be put out of the synagogue. So the Calvinist loves chapter 8, verse 43, because it says, "You cannot hear my word." We need to understand the audience. Why was he saying they couldn't hear him? Because they had already decided not to hear him. It is not because they are incapable. It is not because the word is not powerful.
อาทูเป็นอาทูเป็นนะอาโซอุเสกเลยเดีย
It is because they had made a choice.
ไอ้เสกอามาเนี่ยค่ะทุกๆนามาคิดเสียตัวเอง
And that word cannot in John 8:43 needs to be understood.
ไว้สอนคุณจะทำส้มเป็นทุนนะไอ้ที่กิ้วไอ้ที่เป็ดไอ้ที่เสียงใน
John uses that same word in chapter 6, verse 60.
ไว้ทุกวันมาค่ะบุ้งลูกจากส้มบุ้งนาเลยเย็นเอง
In chapter 6, verse 60, John says,
บุ้งลูกจากส้มบุ้งนาสอนนะหวังเย็นยังสิแหละ
so you will remember what's going on in chapter 6.
บุ้งลูกนาก็หวังเย็นยังสินะที่ห้อง
Jesus is going to say to them, unless you eat my flesh
เยซูนักขักษาในเกวะ
and drink my blood,
นักศึกษาโดนเกวเลย
then you have no part.
เราเกลักต่ำนั่นเองเกว
And the people hear that.
มีหอยสาวะ
And in verse 60, they say this.
จากส้มบุ้งนาจะเห็นเก่าเอง
This is a hard saying. Who can hear it?
แค่ผู้ฮับซาฮีกวนอาลาส้มพีเดียอาชีวะ
It's the same language that we see over in chapter 8, verse 43.
นะครับบุ้งเย็ดจากส้มเลี้ยทุมาที่สั่งไว้ทุมาปฏิบัติให้เห็นกัน
If we look at how the words cannot hear are used in chapter 6, verse 60, we will understand what is meant.
อาศัยกิ้วเดินทางจากเดียวเกดันเอง
The crowd in chapter 6, verse 60 did hear it.
แค่บุ้งลูกจากส้มบุ้งนาค่ะวิบิเกนค่ะ
They did not like it.
สมาหิวให้หาอย่างอันให้เกิดเสียง
Om Pantianta Ahon Panti Masyam Kalameni Kadang Sungun Hon Ching Pahi Kadang Tonin Uhin Tona Lâm bi duy lai Sinh sinh tế quan Ý ca đôn đi Đàn miao tế sư Mát loạc sa kỳ Lâm tôn tu nghiên Ba sa đi Lâm sung bê quan Ni tum ya ya Ni tam lâu nu Chaka pai di Ana sep sa Tết hoa đi nghìn Ni tum lâu na